Hello, I'm Henry Keenan. We are UATV. We're online to give you the Ukrainian perspective of reality. Watching the episode. Russian largest airline collapses after hacker attack. Medvedev threatens Trump with war. Europe gives up on Russian gas faster. Please join the right side of history by subscribing to our channel and welcome to the News Pulse. Hacktivist groups Silent Crow and cyber partisans BY, where BY obviously stands for Belarus, have targeted a Russian state enterprise Aeroflot, one of Russia's largest airlines, in major cyber attack. According to reports, the hackers breached the company's security systems and downloaded over 20 terabytes of classified data, including all internal communications, corporate records, flight info and more. Following the data breach, the attackers proceeded to completely format, erase around 7,000 physical and virtual servers, effectively completely paralyzing all the airline's operations. It turned out that Russian Aeroflot employees often used outdated and even illegal Windows XP operating systems of their workstations, which allowed for a mass breach into security. The hackers described the damage inflicted on the Russian Federation as strategic, estimating that restoring Aeroflot systems alone will cost tens of millions of dollars, let alone upgrading them to avoid new breaches in the future. They also announced plans to publicize some of the downloaded files in the nearest future. As a result of the breach, Aeroflot's operations have instantly and completely collapsed. All flights have been cancelled, leaving passengers scrambling to get refunds or compensation. As of now, the airline's internal management system remains offline, and Russian media reports that Aeroflot staff are unable to even refuel their planes, let alone resume regular flights. The day before, US President Donald Trump said that he was disappointed with Putin and was shortening the deadline for Russia's ultimatum to cease fire in Ukraine. Those words were voiced at a meeting with British Prime Minister Keir Starmer in Scotland. Trump said that the new deadline for the Kremlin is no more than 12 days. In addition, the head of the White House emphasized that the United States would impose secondary sanctions in the amount of 100% for buyers of Russian goods.
I've spoken to President Putin a lot. I got along with him very well, but 5 times, and every time 4 times maybe, but we've had discussions, you and I have had discussions. Yeah. We thought we had that settled numerous times, and then President Putin goes out and starts launching rockets into some city like Kiev and kills a lot of people in a nursing home or whatever. You have bodies lying all over the street. And I say, that's not the way to do it. So we'll see what happens with that. I'm very disappointed. I'm disappointed in President Putin. Very disappointed in him. So we're going to have to look, and I'm going to reduce that 50 days that I gave him to a lesser number because I think I already know the answer what's going to happen.
The Kremlin has immediately responded to Trump's new ultimatum deadline. The odious deputy chairman of the Russian Security Council, Dmitry Medvedev, said that the US president is approaching a war with Russia. As every ultimatum is a threat and a step towards war, Medvedev also called on Trump not to, I quote, follow Joe Biden's path. Whatever that means. Apparently, he was referring to military support for Ukraine. Medvedev had already threatened Trump before. After the US strikes on Iran's nuclear facilities, Medvedev said that Russia considers providing Tehran with nuclear weapons. However, after the US president's harsh reaction, Medvedev, as usual, published awkward excuses. No, they say that Russia will definitely not nuclear arm Iran.
Trump's playing the ultimatum game with Russia. 50 days or 10, he should remember 2 sins. Russia isn't Israel or even Iran. Each new ultimatum is a threat and a step towards war, not between Russia and Ukraine, but with his own country. Don't go down the Sleepy Joe road. Dmitry Medvedev, chairman of the National Defense and Security Council of Russia, on X social network.
When Senator Lindsey Graham reminded Medvedev that Trump is the leader of the most influential country in the world right now, not Vladimir Putin, Medvedev ranted and started threatening the United States with war. You can see the public messages on the screen right now. The exchange is far from any form of diplomatic and further deterioration of communication channels between the new administration in Washington and Moscow is expected. according to many commentators.
Every voice matters. Join our community, support independent journalism and help us bring you the truth from Ukraine. Become a member of Ukraine Today. Join us now.
Ukraine remains committed to peace and will work tirelessly with the United States to make both countries safer. This is how Volodymyr Zelensky responded to Donald Trump's decision to shorten the deadline he gave Putin to end the war. The Ukrainian president noted that the American leader's clear position and determination could not have come at a better time. After all, much can be changed now through force. Zelensky also thanked Trump for his focus on saving lives and stopping the war.
An extremely weighty statement by President Trump, and it is true. It is Russia that is doing everything to disrupt peace efforts and prolong this war. Every night there are strikes, constant Russian attempts to hurt Ukraine. Indeed, peace can be if we act strongly and decisively. And we have said more than once that all partners know this, that sanctions are a key element. Russia takes sanctions into account, takes such losses into account. Peace through strength is possible.
Putin has seriously miscalculated with Donald Trump, said Republican Senator Lindsey Graham, commenting on the US president's new decision. Graham wrote on social media that he shares the White House head's disappointment with the Kremlin's latest actions, which confirm Russia's lack of real desire to sit down at the negotiating table and end the war. The senator also stressed that Congress is ready to help the president in his effort to attract the parties to peace talks.
Putin has seriously miscalculated President Trump. I hope that countries like China, India and Brazil who support Putin's war machine will soon pay a long overdue price. Lindsey Graham, US Senator from the Republican Party, on social media X.
And Ukraine has made its first import of Azerbaijani gas via the Trans-Balkan Corridor, the chairman of the board of the Naftogaz Group, Serhiy Koretsky, announced.
The test delivery is carried out along the road Bulgaria-Romania-Ukrainian border. This is a small in volume, but strategically important step that opens the way to long-term cooperation, and also another example of diversification of supply sources and strengthening of Ukraine's energy security, said Serhiy Koretsky, chairman of the board of the Naftogaz of Ukraine Energy Company, on Facebook.
The European Parliament is considering ways to speed up the US abandonment on Russian gas by 1 year, Reuters reports. The European Commission has proposed completely refusing all imports of Russian gas by January 1st, 2028, while lawmakers in the European Parliament want to move that deadline to even earlier at the timeline at January 1st, 2027. However, for many reasons, according to Reuters sources, governments in the bloc are unlikely to agree to act so still. However, EU lawmakers could use the demand as leverage in negotiations on other issues. The price of Russian oil is falling short of the minimum level set in the Russian budget, Reuters reports. This is obviously increasing pressure on the budget, which is already facing a fast-growing deficit, financing a war of aggression in Ukraine. Adds to the grim picture is Russian crude exports that have fallen to their lowest in 6 months, as well as Russia's oil and gas revenues fell by a third in June, the lowest since January 2023. US Energy Secretary Chris Wright said that an option to impose sanctions on Russian oil to end the war in Ukraine is a very real, as quoted by Reuters. Donald Trump indeed said that Washington could impose 100% duties on buyers of Russian oil and other sanctions if Moscow does not conclude a peace agreement with Ukraine in the nearest future. According to Wright, this is the greatest pressure that can be exerted on Russia. He also said that the US is the world's largest producer of oil and gas, which means that the US can take measures that have never been taken before. Neutrality no longer guarantees Austria's security. This was stated by the country's foreign minister, Beate Meinen-Reisinger, in an interview with the newspaper Die Welt. She called for an open debate on Austria's possible accession to NATO.
Neutrality alone does not protect us. What protects Austria in the face of an increasingly uncertain global security situation and an increasingly aggressive Russia is investing in our own defense capabilities and in partnerships. The world has changed, but I would like to say it bluntly. In the EU, we already have a partner who will protect us in an emergency. At the same time, we make a significant contribution to European security. We send soldiers to numerous EU peacekeeping missions and do everything we can to support the common European European security and defence policy financially, militarily, and politically. In this respect, Austria's neutrality has already changed significantly since joining the EU in 1995. Beate Maynol-Reisinger, Austrian Foreign Minister, in an interview with Die Welt.
And it is a grim reminder of what Russia actually is. The next day after Ukraine marks a Russian terror in Olenivka, where Russia murdered dozens and injured hundreds of Ukrainian prisoners of war, Russia does it again. At least 21 civilians have been killed after Russia struck at a Ukrainian prison and medical facility overnight. Russian bombardment comes amidst Donald Trump's effort to punish Russia with sanctions and tariffs unless it stops its terror in Ukraine. Again, it clearly shows to the world it is impossible to seal the deal with a thug, who Vladimir Putin obviously is. Volodymyr Zelensky, chief of staff, condemned the strikes as another war crime committed by Russia. Well, that was it for today. My name is Henry Keane and we are News Pulse at UATV. Your time and attention, we appreciate it. Thank you. Please join the fight for freedom and sovereignty. Subscribe to our channel so to stay tuned to things that are happening in Ukraine. Hope to see you soon. Goodbye.